Hello traders, happy Monday. It is 8:02 a.m. Chicago time on the 10th of June 2019. Thanks for joining me. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, we have a slight risk-on sentiment. The Nasdaq's pushing the lead here, up 45.5 points or 0.61%. The U.S. indices had popped higher. Crude is a little bit higher at 19 cents or 0.33%. The DAX and the Euro stocks are also up, and so is the dollar index. Everything else is below that I monitored. The 10-year note is off 8 ticks. The Bund is off 47 ticks. The bonds are down 25 ticks, and gold down $12.80. Overall, again, the market is allocating to risk today. There's really not much that has changed since last week. We're still dealing with this Mexico story, tariffs, and really reality TV governance across the globe is what's on deck. But overall, the market took a strong push higher on Friday in the indices and finished relatively strong on the week. We'll go over that in a minute. But the U.S. announced a deal with Mexico over the weekend to ensure that tariffs did not get imposed today. We finished the week into Friday with this 5% tariff increasing by 5% over increments up to 25% as a result of this current U.S. administration's push to have Mexico deal with the immigration issue on the southern border of the United States. But that's really it. Very quiet session. The German, Swiss, Austrian, Danish, and Norwegian markets are all closed for Whit Monday. So expect, actually, I did quote the DAX, and that probably, it is trading. There are quotes. It's going to say it may not be trading, but it is. So that's where we stand. In terms of what's on deck for this week, the high tier releases this week involve the inflation rate in China tomorrow evening at 9:30. Actually, this evening, the Australian NAB business confidence comes out at 9:30 as well. Not a big mover for the major indices. But China inflation rate year on year is expected at 2.7% at 9:30 Eastern tomorrow. Then we get core inflation in the U.S. at 8:30 on Wednesday. And as well as the inflation rate, we get the same from Germany at 2 a.m. Eastern on Thursday. And on Friday, we get retail sales at 8:30 and Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 Eastern. Pretty light week in terms of the calendar on high-impact numbers. There are several numbers scattered throughout from various G20 countries in there, but there's nothing really outstanding this week. We did have non-farm payrolls on Friday, which missed, and so today is expected to be fairly sleepy. Let's take a look at what we expected on Friday versus what we got. As we were finishing up with the trader bite on Friday, it looked like we're opening just at Thursday's high. The expectation is for a market for participants to dip lower and then push through the 28.54 and get into 28.66. The secondary was likely to be an initiative push into the overnight high up against 64, and then a fall back into the range to test the 28.37, 38 area. Did not get either one of these. These were both off. Here's what we actually got on Friday. Let's get rid of these boxes. Let's get rid of the stock zones. So you can see that on Friday we opened up and we essentially left behind a small gap between 53 and the low of 54.75, about 2 points. We did attempt to be responsive, but we did not get the push down into the range and then a push up into 64. Instead, it was quite initiative, and we ended up taking out a pretty good chunk of range. On Friday, we traded 30 points up, basically. And that's where we ended up. We ended up with this P-shaped trend style profile where the point of control kept shifting up, and we have multiple high volume nodes throughout the day. This really is a hallmark for last week. If you look at the weekly for last week, it really is a pretty thin and quite trending profile. We closed below the point of control above the IB on Friday. We closed in what is classically a normal variation day. You can almost classify this as it could qualify, given where it closed, it could qualify as a trend day type. In either case, it closed pretty strong, but the reopen this morning it was clear that participants were pricing in higher value. We get a gap and we push up to 28.98. The century figure is right above at 2,900. And then the response comes in, and the response takes us right back to the point of control. And we sit sideways essentially since Europe's closed. We've sat sideways the entire session. We've taken a bit of a climb through the prior session high. But again, this is more evidence that we're likely not to see much action today. I expect it to be relatively quiet today. The volume's been pretty good, 242,000, with a very bizarre shaped profile where we have two distributions right on top of each other. We don't see that often. It's almost like somebody took a chunk off of a normal distribution and left it there. Just odd behavior, but overall, market's really quiet. The sell side, this is showing in the overnight session that there's a pretty decent excess high at 28.98, and not so much on the low. My expectation is we're likely to take some of this back and move lower this morning. Here's what things look like in terms of the heat map overnight. CT book map shows just what like we talked about. We've got a quick pop on the open. You can see quite a bit of volume going off, a lot of volume going off there in the order flow, and then it comes off, and there's a fair amount of participation up to this point right here, and then it just kind of dies away. It dies away. I don't see very good structure overnight. To be honest with you, I don't think that we've got the kind of tests that we'd like to see. I mean, there were two spots that I liked overnight, and it's right there. It's hard to draw on this chart here. Right in the 28.88.50 area. Which gets a small pullback right here and gets tested. And then the next area up is 28.91, which got tested right here. So those are the only two structures that made sense to me, but overall the overnight session doesn't show much promise either. Looking while we're here, take a look at the order flow and the offers in this product and how the book is stacked. We see a little bit of liquidity up here at 93, 92, and we see some down here at 79 to 78. Other than that, I see a lot of noise above there. The whole area up to the century figure from the overnight high to 2,900 is well offered. Remember, there's going to be some likely hedging and so on going on there. And then below, further below, is 76 to 75, which brings us into Friday's close. Okay, so that's the heat map and the order flow. Let's take a look at what we expect for today. Here we go. So for today, we're opening up just above the range again. So this is going to look a lot like Friday. We're opening up just above the range. My expectation is for responsive selling down into the prior day's point of control and the overnight low. And then I'm looking for it to continue to push down into 75 through that liquidity fight and bounce back up. I'm expecting the range to be somewhat conservative for today. I'm looking for about somewhere between 76 and 90 to 94. Really not expecting much more range expansion than that. The secondary is a dip that pushes us into the point of control area, this 2893 area, for an impulse up to the overnight high, and an attack off of an attack of 2900, consolidation and noise into 2900. I'm expecting 2905 to 2907 to be the cap on this play before it goes sideways. So that's the secondary scenario. The secondary scenario is a response early, finds a base of buyers, finds a base of buyers that it's likely to push up relatively strong into 2900 being the key target for the day. Okay, so those are the two main ideas. The week is ahead of us. And again, it could be pretty choppy today. The Monday after non-farm payroll is relatively choppy. The other thing to keep in mind is that this Thursday is rollover for U.S. indices. Thursday is expected. I'm going to be rolling to the September 2019 contract. U9 is the futures designation, so it'll be ESU9 or NQU9, RTYU9, whatever. So starting Thursday morning, I'll be quoting and trading the September contract, which also means that all of your delta and volume readings will be off until the following Friday, expiration Friday. It's that time of the year again. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Take care.